I'm on my old pal Brian B's channel right here, and maybe you're like him and you're just starting a channel, or you've had your channel for a while but haven't thought about enhancing your videos in any way, and you're just putting up raw video. That's basically what Brian's doing, I think. Magix Movie Edit Pro is very inexpensive, and it also lets you do a lot of the things you need for YouTube, like adding an intro and outro to your videos, exporting a single frame for a thumbnail. You can add titles, you can add text, and maybe add transitions. A lot of things like that you can do with Magix Movie Edit Pro. So that's what I'm going to do here, is give a tutorial on the new Magix Movie Edit Pro 2017 Plus, which just came out, and talk about how we can do all these things, and I'll give you all the steps to make a complete video. So let's get started. So let's go ahead and open Magix Movie Edit Pro 2017 Plus. Now when we open it, you'll see there is no 2017 on the splash screen there. That's because Magix no longer goes by the year or the year designation. If you look in the help file, you can go to About It, and you can see that we now have just the version number up here. And 2017, of course, actually comes out in 2016. So it's version 16, but it's actually Magix Movie Edit Pro 2017 Plus. Okay, now that it's open, we can give the project a name. So let's go ahead right here and just go ahead and save the project and give it a name right here. I like the date. I'm going to leave that on there, but I'm just going to go ahead and give it a name right here. I'm going to call it Special Viewer 2, because after all, you are my special viewers. So this is the tutorial for those special viewers who want to know how to make a complete movie, all the steps, and sort of a beginner tutorial. If you're already an expert at this or intermediate, this may not interest you, but this is for ones that just got Magix and want to get up and running. So that's what I'm going to call it. So now that our project's saved, we can open it again if we close Magix Movie Edit Pro. So let's say I do close it. So I'll close it like that. Now next time we open it, let's go ahead and open it again. You can see it does say plus there, just no 2017. Okay, now if we want to open that project again, we'll just go to File and then go to Last Open Disk Projects, and there it is right there at the top. And so it comes right back open. Okay, let's talk about the editor modes that we have. There's basically 4 icons right here. The first one is called Storyboard Mode, and I'm in that right now. And then there's one here that's called Scene Overview. And then there's one right here that I like called Timeline Mode. And then there's Multicam Mode. So I use Timeline Mode most of the time. So let's switch to Timeline Mode right here. So to get started on our movie, let's bring some video clips onto the timeline. Now I have some clips here that I want to create a movie out of, and it's going to be about running an RC sailboat. A guy is showing how to run an RC sailboat and the controls. And then I've got one clip here where my son is running his RC boat. So I just want to make a little movie out of those, and I'm going to show you how I would do it if I was making a movie. Alright, so here we go. Let's bring the first sailboat picture in. Actually, let's bring in both of these lower ones, both the sailboat pictures. We'll bring them in here. Just drop them on the timeline in the arranger. Let them load in. And these movies match my project resolution, so it didn't bring up the dialog that asked me if I want to adjust. You can adjust your project settings to the movie if you want to, but mine were already set that way, so there they are on the timeline. Now let's maybe bring in John's movie too, his boat movie. So what I can do is go over here on this minus key, minus button, and shrink down the timeline a little bit. Now I got room, I'll just drag in John's boat video. Put that right there. And let that load in. And you can keep an idea about how much video you have up here. So that's 11 minutes and 42 seconds altogether for those clips. So the first thing I usually do when I edit a movie is delete the video sections that I don't want from the video material. So I would preview the video material, basically run through it and look and see what I want to remove. Now the cursor, or the marker, the time marker, is right here. It's this little orange line, and you can drag and move that around. In the mode I'm in now, it'll snap to any break in the video material. And the way you activate that mode is with this magnet right here. If that magnet is off, the marker will not snap to any of the breaks in the material. If you turn it on, you get that snapping feature. You also get the object snap, so if I bring an object near another, it'll butt right up against it nice and even and not leave a break. So I recommend leaving the magnet on, which is usually on by default. Next thing you want to look at is the way the objects are related to each other when you slide them around. Now you notice when I grab this object, the one over here behind it moves with it, which is kind of like a single track mode. And that's because this is highlighted. If I was to do single object mode right here, then that object would overlap the other one, as you can see right there, and it wouldn't move them together. So single track is the best for entering single track material. If you got multiple tracks and you want to stay synchronized on all tracks, then you would use this multiple track mouse mode right here, which just says all tracks. So that would slide everything. For example, if I go back to single object and I put this down here like that, now when I go to multiple track, if I grab this object, the other one will move with it, just like that. So that's what those different modes do right there. I'll go back to single object, put this back where it was, and then go back to single track, because that's all I need right now. And then the next thing we'll be using are the scissors right here, which is how we make our cuts, or we split our objects. This one here we probably won't use. That's more like time stretching, like if you want to stretch the audio or maybe the video to make it longer or shorter, you can use that. It's good for synchronizing objects of different frame rates too. If they don't line up in time quite right, you can stretch them to fit. But I'm not going to be using that right now. And then you got your insertion modes right here, which I've just got an automatic, but they've got single track ripple, multiple track ripple, so it kind of slides everything out of the way as you insert an object. But I'll just go with automatic. That's all we'll really need. And the other thing you've got is these right here, and these can basically group objects together or ungroup them. For example, if I wanted to ungroup the audio on this one, I could just hit this broken link right here, and now the audio is separate from the video. Unfortunately, you can't get it back together by just clicking this one. It doesn't work, but you can hit undo. And this is the undo, and this is the undo actually right here on the left, and that's the redo. So I'll hit undo, and it's back together, as you can see right there. So that's the basic idea of what these different things do. We can get into some of the others later, but you can hold your mouse tip over it and it will give you a short explanation of what each one does. So that brings up the text editor right here, and of course that's delete, which I often just use the delete key on the keyboard instead of that, but you can do that. And another thing you can do is you can use the J, K, and L keys on the keyboard to move the cursor back and forth Like if I do that with the J, it moves one way. I can stop it with the K, move forward with the L, like that, and that gives you some fine adjustments. So J, K, and L on the keyboard, very handy. Okay, so that's a brief overview of what these little tools do. So next we'll get into editing. Okay, let's make our first cut in the movie, and I'll go over these controls again as I use them, so don't worry about if you didn't get that explanation right previous to this. But let's go ahead and preview the first part of the movie. I want to get this guy's explanation of the name of this sailboat. So I'm going to go ahead and play the video. I'm going to use the play button right here.
Named after Sanibel Island down in Florida.
Oh yeah, I've been to that. Yeah.
Races down there.
Sanibel Island.
Yeah, just off the west coast, right above Naples.
Yeah.
Okay, so I stopped it right there with the K key and on the keyboard. The K key stops the cursor at the current position. If I was to use the space bar, it would just pop back to the beginning of the object, and I don't want that. So I use the K key to stop it right where it was. Now I'm going to make the cut. So I'll come up here and click the scissors and do split. And there you go. Now we've got a split right there. Now let's go ahead and preview some more of it. So this isn't too interesting. You can see it's looking at the water, which isn't going to make a very good video. There's a plane, but it's kind of blurry. So I don't think any of that's going to be very useful. And now we might want to get this part here where he's just putting the sailboat in the water. Now you can also use the cursor keys like left and right arrows to jog the video like this. I'm just pressing the left arrow over and over. So let's start right there and make another cut. And now we're going to use the delete feature. So we'll highlight this section that I don't want. And I think you'll see this stuff slide over when I delete that. So let's hit the trash can here. And it's deleted, and you saw all the other objects slid over. Now that feature can be turned off if you want to, but I think it's a good thing to have it on because that makes it seamless. It goes right together there. So now we got the first clip and then the second clip. And you can move the cursor along and you can rapidly look at everything if you want to. So the only thing is you won't hear the audio. So if there's audio sections that you want, you won't be able to discriminate which ones are the best. So now we can move forward and listen a little bit more. Okay, I just said put the Sanibel into the water. I like that, so I'm going to cut that right there. And probably we don't need any more of that because we know it's going in the water. Okay, see, right here he starts to sail it. Okay, so I'm just going to take this whole section out. Press the delete key. Now you notice it didn't matter where the marker was. It still butted it right up against the other clip. Now let's move along here. We kind of want to get the explanation, but we'll show it taken off first. Okay, so here it is taken off. Let me get the... okay, now press the space bar. Well, just excuse me a minute. I got to get the thing in focus. Okay, I press the space bar. There goes the boat out into the water. There's a plane coming in. That's pretty interesting there. And now he's getting in position. Now we don't really want that plane, so I'm going to use the JKL keys. I'm going to move backwards with the J key and stop it right there and make a cut. Because this is all about the sailboat. The plane's interesting, but let's stay in context. Okay, now I want to get the part where he starts explaining the controls. See if I can find that. Right here, I think. Yeah. See, I'm just using the marker to move it along rapidly. So, let's see what he says here.
Man, they're still making good headway. But anyway, if you want to turn around, hand go downwind. So you let the sails out right there.
Are you doing that with your right hand?
The left hand controls the sails. The right one controls.
So that's pretty good, but I might want to back it up just a little bit with the J key and stop it with the K key. I want to get some more of that audio.
Pretty tight to the wind too.
Now, if we want to see what the audio looks like close up, there's a couple things you can do. You could use the plus key over here on the right to magnify the track a little bit, and then you can use the plus key on the bottom here to zoom in. Now you can see the audio. A good place to cut is when the audio isn't very loud. So maybe right in here. Let's see what happens.
It's pretty tight to the wind too.
So probably don't want that laughing in there. So let's put it right here.
It's still pretty tight to the wind too. You notice that I'm almost in the wind. It's still pretty tight to the wind.
Now what I'm doing is pressing the space bar and then pressing the K key when I hear what I want.
It's still pretty tight to the wind too.
So I'm going to back up a little bit with the J key and hit the K key.
It's still pretty tight to the wind too.
So that's pretty good right there. We don't want to get too fancy. Okay, now if I hit the double arrow right here, it'll bring everything back so that it fits the arranger, just like that. So now the zoom is zoomed out so it just fits the arranger. So now let's make our cut. And you notice it didn't bring up the little sub menu here because it knows I'm in split. So it's made my cut. So now we've got this section we can take out. And you see the movie's getting shorter already. I'm down to 10 minutes. And you know that YouTubers have a short attention span sometimes. They only watch a movie for like 30 seconds. And if they don't like it, they may cut it off. The average watch time is usually about 3 minutes. So if the movie's longer than 3 minutes, it better be pretty good. This tutorial might be a different or an exception, because if you're learning Magix Movie Edit Pro, you probably want to watch the whole movie. But if you're somebody that just jumps in and says, oh, I don't like this, it might be 30 seconds. Or you might watch 3 minutes of it and say, I'll save this movie for later when I want to learn more about Magix Movie Edit Pro. So the average is around 3 minutes, especially if I do a lot of blathering, right? Okay, so now we've got basically the section where he's talking about the controls. Now we don't want the thing with the plane, so let's play it again.
Oh, okay. This is my sail control right here.
Yeah.
You see how the sails are all spread right there?
Yeah.
To catch that wind, push it down.
Okay, so we're not too interested in the plane, we just want his explanation. Now right there I pressed M and brought up the mixer so I can see the volume levels. The volume level is for the first track that we're on is right here. And these tracks aren't being used. And the overall or master volume is over here. So just thought I'd show you that. You can also bring the mixer up by just clicking this icon over here if you need to adjust the volume. Okay, so we're well on the way. I'm going to use the J key to just back this up a little bit. Alright, right there is when he finishes his explanation of the radio. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that. And let's move forward a little bit. I'm looking at the water there. I don't think that's too interesting, but
I see what you mean.
okay, so right there.
I see what you mean.
So that's the end of the explanation when I say I see what you mean. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it there. And we'll get some of the other.
Oh, well, I don't do that, but I guess some people do.
So we'll go here. Not too interesting.
This airplane out of the way.
Here, I think the rudder was on the left.
You okay, Bobby?
In the aircraft, it's always on the left with the rudder in mode 2.
Way.
Here, I think the rudder was on the left.
You okay, Bobby?
In the aircraft, it's always on the left with the rudder in.
Okay, so I'm asking about the rudder control, so I like that part. I'm going to cut it there and remove this. Alright. So it gives us control. Then I ask him about the rudder. He gives that explanation. And we watch the boat sail right up to about here. and we see I got off on the camera. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. Let's see what's being said.
Well, elevator and rudder would be both on the right stick on a Mode 2 transmitter.
Yeah.
On 3 channels.
That's right.
So you'd have it over here. So I was going to say, whatever your primary steering channel is, you know.
Okay, so we really do need this.
Aileron, you put it on the right stick. So same with this right here. You had a sailboat with a tiller and you're right-handed, odds are you'd be steering with your right hand.
Okay, so we'll just leave all of that in there. All right, now, moving forward, this is just basically the sailing. And then I show a little bit of the dock there. I don't know if we want that, so let's check that out.
You use your rudder a lot on helicopters, so it becomes second nature to you anyway.
All right, that's pretty good there. I'm going to go ahead and cut it right there. So now we're off on something else. They're getting ready to fly a plane. I started taking my attention off that. So we'll just remove that. And that's basically it for the sailboat. Now let's get a little bit of John racing his boat around for the ending. We'll just have this right here.
First, we always say, it wasn't me.
All right, so that's pretty good. So just cut that. And we'll get a little bit of that in there. I just press the space bar to run the movie. And I'm going to press the K key when I'm done. All right, we'll just stop it right there with the K key. Use the scissors to cut it. And the rest of this, let's see if there's anything interesting in here. Yeah, that was pretty good when he went under the bridge there. Let's see that one. Yeah, I definitely like that. So I'll take that, and that runs to the end of the movie, let's say. And out. Let's leave him a little more voiceover. Okay, right there. So now, so that is all our cuts. Okay, so let's go ahead and zoom to the full track right here with this double arrow down here in the right. And we got everything zoomed out. Now, for our video, we probably want to put a intro in somewhere. Now, a lot of times people put the intro right at the beginning, but sometimes it's handy with YouTube to put it after a little bit of explanation at the beginning. So at the beginning here we have the explanation of how the sailboat is named. So might want to get through that. It's only a few seconds, so the viewer shouldn't quit watching unless they're just not interested in sailboats. So what we can do is highlight the next clip after it, right after the beginning clip, and let's see if we can insert a little intro. And I think I'll go into effects here. The intros are actually under effects rather than in the fades where you think they might be. And by the way, I think it's a good idea to save your project. So let's just do File, Save Project here, because there could be a case where it would lock up and you'd lose all your edits. So good idea to save it. Now Magix does do backups periodically while it's running, so there will be some backup files, but it's more trouble to restore the backup than it is just to save it as you go along. Okay, so now that we got it saved, we're in effects. Come down here to Design Elements. Now, because I have the Plus version, I may have some things that won't come in the standard version. And I've downloaded the extra content, and we can get into that later, but the way you download the extra content, after you install it, you can come in here, and if you haven't downloaded this extra content already, you can come down and click Install Extra Content right here and click Download Extra Content. But after you get the window open, you can go ahead and choose what you want here and then just download that extra content. If you want to know more about that, I can do another video on that because it might be kind of time consuming. But anyway, I downloaded everything I needed. So now I can go into intros and outros right here. And that, this is why I say get the plus version, because you'll get all this extra stuff. And I really like it. So let's say we want to put, I'll use this rainbow intro like I did on this tutorial. And I'll just go ahead and grab that, and you just drag it down and drop it on this highlighted video right here, the second one. And it puts it right there. And we can mess around with it a little bit, like if we want to, and I've got this single track on, but I think the video is attached to that, so see how it moves right there? So now if we come along, let me put the marker right here, hit the space bar, and watch this intro. Okay, I just pressed the K key to stop it, and I'm going to go up here and see if I can get a fix on this title. When I double clicked it, it just went to a full monitor window there. But now I can type in what I want. So let's put I'll just put sailing right there. Now, don't get on to me if I spell something wrong. I don't even know how to spell Sanibel, but I might come back and fix that later. I think it may be Sanibel, like that. I don't know, but I'll come back and fix it later if it's wrong. Anyway, you hit the check mark there to save it. I'm going to go up here in the corner. You can't see this, but I'm just going to minimize that back down so it fits in the window. So I don't know if you could see any of that because it was kind of maximized there. But what I did was I just entered the title into the template, and now I can keep going. And that's what it looks like. So you can see how that a viewer who watched this video would get an idea what the video was right away. And if they like sailing, they're going to stay tuned. If they're not interested in learning about RC sailboats, they'll quit right there. So it lets them know right away what the content is, and then you can bring in the title and then go into the main part of the movie. And let's zoom in here a little bit with the plus key. Alright, let's see how that looks right here. So it's got a little fade there, so we're good. Alright, so we got that done. Now, if you want to put a fade anywhere in here, like there's this part is pretty good. That's continuous. And then when it comes to the radio right here, we're coming along.
And
you notice right there that we could fade that if we wanted to as the camera is panning across. So I might want to cut it there. And then I can just drag this over that a little bit, like that, and that creates a fade. See what happens.
if you want to turn around and go downwind.
See how that created a little fade there. Now it may not be optimum for what you want, but you can adjust it. Just come in here and adjust it like that. There's also a fade trimmer tool that you can access. I don't know if it was the N key. Yeah, there it is right there. You press the N key and there's a fade trimmer tool here where you can work more closely with your fades to get them just the way you want. You can even hit the FX button here and pick a custom fade like blinds or something. Like I could put blinds in there. See how that did? A little overkill for this situation. I don't think we really need blinds, but
If you want to turn around and go down.
I think it's better just with the ordinary fade, so I didn't click OK. In fact, I'm going to take a little more of that out, just like that. But that'll give you an idea. That was the N key if you wanted to get that
And
trimmer tool. Okay, so there we go. So we got a fade in there. And usually you don't put fades in unless it's really a difference in the context of the movie, like you're going from one thing to another. And that we could certainly do down here at the end, because we're going from a sailboat, all of a sudden we've got an RC powerboat. That's definitely different. So we might want to put a fade in there. So let's go ahead, let's see how this looks. And that right there, just the standard overlap fade is just fine. But I mean, if you want to press the N key and bring the trimmer up, we could go in here and pick a different fade. Let's try a gliding fade. Like that. See, that looks pretty good. And then we can click OK to finalize it. Now let's check that out. So there's a nice gliding fade. Like that. And then we may need an outro, right? Hey, we got an intro, why not an outro? So they got the rainbow outro right here, so I'll just drag that down. Let's see what that does. Coming under the bridge. There we go. There's the end of the video. Outro. Like that. And you can do the same thing on the title on the outro. You could go in there and just put thanks for watching. Like that. Alright, so now let me hit this arrow here so we can see the whole thing. So this is our overall movie right here. I'll just zoom out a little bit. So we got 3 minutes and 32 seconds. So that's a pretty good length for YouTube, unless you're going to give a long explanation like I'm doing. But for a quick movie, 3 minutes is just fine. Okay, so let's take a look at how all the tracks look here. I'm just going to slide this up. So now we can see where our intro is and our outro here. Those take up 3 tracks each. 3 tracks going down here. And that's because they've got movies and a title and audio all combined into one thing. And speaking of audio, I noticed that this first section here was kind of loud.
Named after Sanibel Island.
So let's talk about adjusting audio. Now, as I said before, you can use the mixer by pressing the M key on the keyboard or clicking this icon over here, and you can adjust the overall track, or you can adjust the entire project with the master volume. But to adjust just one object, you've got to do it a different way. So what we want to do is zoom in on this. I'm going to hit the plus key down here. Right there. Now let's hit this plus key so we can magnify that vertically and see the audio. So now we can see the audio here. And the interest here is there's a handle. There's one handle up here to dim the video, fade the video. But there's a handle down here to fade the audio. So if it's a little too loud, and this new version, I think the last couple versions of Magix, they've even added this little slider. It didn't used to have that, but now it's got this slider that pops up that really gives you fine control. So if it's on 0, that actually means that it's got normal volume. And when it first came up, it was on 0 right there. That means it's got normal volume. In other words, 0 dB. Now, if you go above 0, it'll get louder. And if you go below 0, it'll get softer. It'll be in the negative number. So let's make it a little bit softer. Let's make it about minus 2.5. And then we can test it. I'll press the space bar.
Named after Sanibel Island down in Florida.
Oh, yeah. I've been to that. Yeah.
Races down there.
Sanibel Island.
So maybe that's a little too low. Let's bring it up to about 1.5.
Named after Sanibel Island down in Florida.
That's pretty good right there.
I've been to that. Yeah.
And you can kind of watch your level meter over here too and see what it's doing.
Right above Naples.
And now let's go back to full track. And let's compare it to this one over here.
The wind is still, they're still making good headway.
So now they're kind of balanced, so the beginning's about the same as the rest. So that's how you adjust the volume. Okay, let's talk about making a title. Say you want to give some descriptions in your video, like you might want to describe what's going on right here. So what we can go do is just click on the Titles tab up here. Now you can make a manual title, or you can use a template. Manual, obviously, you just click in here and start typing. But with the templates, you can go down in here. You can pick different fonts and things like that. Let's go down here, drag it down here, and put it on the timeline. That's the best way, I think. Put it right there on the timeline, underneath the video object, and then just type what you want in here. Alright, let's go ahead and just, did I spell that wrong? Probably did. Anyway, I can't see it right now. I'm going to make it a little bit larger. Now you can just grab these little handles here and make it larger that way. You can also go back to manual right here, and you can make it larger right here. So let's just say using stick controls, make it that big. Okay, so we'll run through it again. We'll go to fonts, pick a font that we like. Heck, I'll even pick a different one this time. Let's just go with this one. That's pretty crazy. Alien font. Drop it on the timeline. Typing in. And then I'll just check the box to accept it. Put it down there. Go to manual. Make it whatever size I want. Like that. Then I can make it whatever color I want. Like that. And there we go. Now, interesting thing is, if you want to put a bunch of titles in the movie, you can do that. Let me increase this a little bit. Let's stretch this out a little bit too. Let's see how far it goes here. So yeah, it's pretty much all the way through here on the stick controls up to about there. So I'll just make that title longer by dragging it. So that's pretty good. Now if I want to put that title in somewhere else, like I wanted to put it down here too, just highlight it and then press the D key on the keyboard. That's D for duplicate. You do that, you get a copy of it. Then just drag it down here. And if you didn't want to have the same title there, you could just then highlight it like that, double click, and just put in there using sticks. So it's a little bit different, but still explains the same thing. So that's all you got to do to make multiple titles. So if you had like a slideshow of all these pictures, you could just dupe the same title over and over, then go back in and edit the text. Alright, let's save our project because we've done a lot. So now let's talk about making a thumbnail for your video. That really gets your viewers' attention on YouTube if you have a really nice thumbnail. Now you can do it with Adobe Photoshop or some of those other things, but you can also kind of do it right in Magix. So let's say I want, you can look around in your video, find one that looks the best, but I kind of like that right there where he's going down to the water with the sailboat. I'm going to use the J key and the JKL keys. I can look and jog it along here. You notice he's walking down the
Island down in Florida.
right there is good. I like that. His head's up. It shows the sailboat. Just kind of interesting, and it's sort of dark at the top here, which is good for putting a title. So let's use that as the thumbnail. So I'm going to make a cut there. Not that I'm going to remove anything, but just as a marker kind of. I could have used a chapter marker as well if I wanted to set a chapter marker, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut the movie just for ease of use. Okay, now let's put a title there. Let's actually put a title right on the top here. So we'll go back to titles again. Let's go, okay, templates, fonts. What do we want? Fonts. You can look through here. There's captions, different things you can use. And here's some that I saved myself. You can actually save a template of your favorite fonts or captions or whatever you want. But let's save something clear and easy to read. I'm thinking maybe just the standard ABCDs. Let's see here. Looking down through here. I think there's one that's fairly clear. It's all a matter of your liking, so I'll just pick one. I'll just go ahead and use the standard sans right here. Just use that one. Okay, let's bring that down. I'll just put it there. Alright, let's go type in what we want. Let's make this a how-to video, like a how to sail an RC sailboat. Whoop, spelled that wrong. Sailboat. Alright, let's just do that. That'll work. Now I know we're going to need it a little larger. Try to fit the whole top there. That was a little too big. So let's go to manual, where we got more fine control. I want to get it down where it fits but doesn't wrap around. Maybe right there. Alright, bring that up. That's pretty good. There's different style changes we can make, like we could bold it. That looks pretty good. You can italic it. Just whatever you want to do there. There's an outline feature. And when you turn things like outline on, it brings down some other things like border width, stuff like that. So you can turn your border width up, whatever you want to do. Now, if you really want to make it stand out, you could put something underneath the text. I think we can do that in Effects, Design Elements, and if you go down to Backgrounds, there's different backgrounds you could put on it, but I kind of like just the test images, like black. So let's bring this down. Oh, I'm going to have to put on single object mode now because I don't want to move everything around. Just this. This is all I want to move. Alright, let's put that down there. And then we'll take this black object, put that right in there. Now when we do that, it's going to mask the entire screen. We don't want that. So let's go still in Effects here. We'll close Design Elements and go to let's see, where is it? Video and Animation, I believe it is. And we want Size and Position right there. Let me think if that's right. Size and position, but we want to be on the black object, not on the text. Okay, we don't want to maintain proportions. I'm going to take that off because we want to size it to just be a bar. Alright, so I'm going to bring it up here. And you can kind of see what I'm doing now. So there's a bar at the top. Let's go highlight the text. See if we can move the text up a little. Oh, that often happens when I'm working with text. It won't work in the monitor anymore, but I'll just go full screen so I can get it lined up here. There we go. How to sail a sailboat. You notice it's got the little blue around it and the white, kind of like the sailboat, and the black background. Alright. Now it'll look funny in the monitor window now. That's a bug. I don't know why it does that. Now we don't need this black bar all the way across, so I'll just shrink that down a little. Just put it right there. So now when we're playing our movie, we'll be coming along, and that'll pop up during the movie. But we can also use it as our thumbnail in the object itself. Let me magnify here a little bit. You can actually, remember I told you about the video fade? Well, you can fade this too. See how that kind of becomes transparent? So let's make it a little transparent so we can still see the tip of the sailboat like that. And it's, this cursor moved a little, I mean the marker moved a little bit, but let's just put it back where it was. There we go. Now we got a pretty good thumbnail. And you know, you could put a logo on here, like if you just had a graphic, like an image, a JPEG of your logo or something. You could put that at the bottom here underneath if you wanted to, and it would show up as your logo right on top of this. So you could do that too if you wanted, but I won't get into that right now. But that's just very simply just drop an image right on the bottom there. It can be a JPEG or a GIF, and your logo will show up here. Okay, so now that we got the thumbnail, let's go ahead and just pick the spot you like the best. Kind of like that right there. Okay, shows his radio, I think, in the boat. All right, let's go ahead and export it as a single frame. Let's go in here, File, Export Movie. Single frame is JPEG. All right. Now we want, I mean, 1080 is too big for YouTube. They like 720p or 720 by 1280 right here. Let's pick that. Just make sure you know where it's going. Right now it's going into movies. Don't think I really want to put it there. I think I want to put it on my desktop. So let's put it right in the Magix Movie Edit Pro 2 that we're working on. Right there. All right, we'll save it. All right, we'll click OK. Now a lot of times it'll give you a little message here about adjusting the movie or something. Just ignore that and hit continue. All right, now we got our thumbnail, and that's what we can send to YouTube when it asks for a thumbnail. If you're a partner, and anyone can be a partner nowadays, you'll have the ability to put up a custom thumbnail. So just use that and that'll be your thumbnail. So one more finishing touch, you might want to adjust like the brightness or gamma or something on your videos, and this is how you could do it. Like I've got this section highlighted here, and I can hit auto exposure, and auto exposure just brightens it up a little bit. Let's do the same thing to this one. So I do auto exposure. You can do that to brighten it up just a tad. You can also come down, like you can increase the gamma like that. That just makes everything pop a little bit. Another thing you can do is under color, there's saturation. If you want to make some of the stuff brighter, you know, it just makes some of the colors brighter that way. You can see that. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to leave it natural for now. There's also color correction. It's got a wheel here where if you got an off tint or something, you can cancel it out. Like if the thing was, you think it's not red enough, it's too yellow, you can go like that and add red. Again, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to leave it natural for now. Okay, so that's it. Let's go ahead and export it now. And what we do for that, I'm just going to go make sure I'm aligned. Make sure your beginning and end markers are at the beginning and end, and the way you can do that is just hit this double arrow. And then go to File, Export Movie, and I like to use the MPEG-4 format. If you've watched some of my other videos, that's how I do it. And then you can come down and pick a good format. This movie here, I think I'm just going to go with 1080p. So I'm going to use my special format here, which is Dave's 1080p, which is just actually full HD right here. And so I'll just use full HD. And that's what we got there. You can go into advanced if you want to see these settings that I have. That's the default full HD settings. Nothing special there. I just got it right off there, template. Now let's make sure we know where it's going. Right now it's going to desktop into our toot folder, so that's okay. Let's just let it go there. And now I've got export selected range only. And since these range markers are at the beginning and end, I will get the whole movie, but I won't get any more than the movie, just the movie, no blank space at the end or anything. If you like to leave a little blank space at the beginning and end, you can move the movie or change the marker so you get a little bit at each end. Alright, so I'm going to calculate the video effects in the GPU. That's the graphic or the graphics processing unit in my video card. Gives me a little more punch for doing the transitions, makes it faster. And I think that's all I need to do. Now I'm just going to click OK. Now it says there's some empty space, and if you want to jump to the empty space and correct it, you can. I'm just going to ignore it. So I'm just going to hit ignore. And now it should start exporting. Let's upload it to YouTube. Alright, let's go to YouTube. I've got a shortcut already. And so I'm posting this video so that you can look at it, the finished product, on YouTube, and I'll post it right along with the tutorial so that when you're watching the tutorial you can also look at the output and see what it looked like. So I'm going to hit the upload button right here. This is my channel. Okay, now we'll go find our files. Let's see, it should be on the desktop under the MEP 2. That's where we send it to, and there's the MP4 right there. Go ahead and open that. We'll start that uploading, and we'll just give it a minute, and it should come up where I can put the custom thumbnail in. It just takes a bit. This is the custom thumbnail button, so I can click that and then find the thumbnail, which is right here. You can see the title up above it, so I'll click that and open. So loading the custom thumbnail. And while we're doing that, we can just put something up here like how-to videos often get good ratings. I don't know why, but anything how-to or DIY or anything like that does. And then you can put in the description some stuff about the Sanibel, and sometimes you can get that off the website, but let's just put in a brief description. The more you put in here, the better, because it ties in with your tags, and the tags should kind of match things that are in the description. So like I said, you could pull stuff off the website, maybe the description of the Sailboat, and put it in there. If we can find the product page, it's always nice to put that under the description. Yeah, there it is right there. Let's go ahead and put that under the description here. Just call that product page. The tag should be something that people actually use to find the video. So not just single words. Single words don't help much, except maybe Sanibel might help, but that's could be Sanibel Island or anything like that. So let's start out with Sanibel RC Sailboat. And hopefully it's spelled right, and it isn't. So it'll make it hard for people to find it if I don't spell it right. I'll try. I'm not a very fart smeller. I mean smart fella. Anyway, we'll get it in there. I mean, you should really have like a 500-word description. If you can fill that with 500 words, great. And maybe 7 to 10 tags that really are good search engine phrases. That will help your video to get up near the top when it goes into the search list. So just keep that in mind. When people type something on Google, are they going to find your video from that phrase? Think about it. And leave it private. And it gives you a warning down here. But when it's done uploading and you got everything tuned, your tags, your description, your title, everything's the way you want it, then you can go ahead and make it public and share it, post it, you know, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I'm just going to let it go and upload. Now, just as a final touch, here's how you can add a tab to your video or a logo, whatever you want to do. So I've opened the thumbnail that I created from Magix Movie Edit Pro into Adobe Photoshop, and now I'm just going to add this tab to it, which is just an image that I created. So I'm just going to copy that image and paste it into this right there and put it on the top of this one. Pretty simple. Now I can size the image down. This is sort of teaching Adobe Photoshop here. Edit, that's it. And then transform scale. Alright, so I can take this, get it off the title there a little bit. Just put it like that. Apply. And so I can just kind of get this over on the side. And now we'll just save the thumbnail. And just make it a JPEG. Like it was. So it'll be this one. And save. Now let's go back to YouTube and we'll update the thumbnail. Here's the one with the tab on it. Just open that up and let it put the thumbnail in. There's my new thumbnail. Okay, so we'll just let it finish up. I'll save the changes. So the movie is done uploading, and now I've got the link for the movie up here. And like we talked about, it's a good idea to go ahead and just put that link under here for the SEO, for the search engine to find it. Alright, now let's go ahead and make it public. Go public, and I'll put a link to this video underneath the tutorial video so you can find it. And I'll just put the title in here, and I think I'll put the link also in the message that's going out. That might make it easy to find. Alright, now I don't have a playlist, so let's just go ahead and publish it now. Okay, it's published. So if you have any questions, just leave them underneath the tutorial video, and you can of course look at this video. Like I said, there'll be a link for it underneath there. And I hope this has been helpful for anyone who needs to get up and running with Magix Movie Edit Pro 2017 Plus. We'll talk to you later.
Here, play.